when we're talking about socialism or Marxism or communism, all you're talking about is wealth redistribution under different names. Basically, it's the few at the top controlling the many at the bottom and calling the shots and stealing their money, stealing the product of their time and laboring energies. If you want to make money, and this came out just recently. I wasn't aware of this intrigue and situation with Donnie Darkened. I just learned about it last night, and I've been doing some research on it, but I plan on doing a video on that on my YouTube channel because it highlights the fact that this guy, Donnie Darkened, if you know anything about him, I personally was convinced that he was convinced at what he was talking about, but I only knew that he had one account, the Donnie Darkened account on the X platform, formerly Twitter. I did not know that he had a Mark Lichtman account and Facebook. So on the Facebook account, he was speaking for Trump and he was playing into the hands of MAGA because he was making boatloads of money promoting Donald Trump and Team MAGA. On his X platform, unbeknownst to anybody until it came to light and people started exposing him, he was against Donald Trump, calling him basically a servant of Satan and possibly the Antichrist. So he was speaking out of both sides of his neck because it was economically feasible for him to do it here and really economically feasible to support the Trump platform. And that's where we're at with people on the left and the right. If you want to make money in this political game, you've got to be willing to be the water boy, be the water girl for Team DNC or Team RNC. Hey, sell poop soup or sell the turd sandwich, or sell poop soup and the turd sandwich. Play the moderate game like Tim Pool is. You'll make tons of money. Now, Tim Pool is far from moderate because he's more, vote for Trump. Sticks Hexenhammer 666 is voting for Team Trump. And I'm thinking, where's the morality? Where's the, you know what? I'm gonna speak what is right no matter who's against me. There's none of that. And that's the reason we're voting. That's the reason we're $35.3 trillion in debt, not counting unfunded liabilities. That's why we have wars. That's why we have unsound money, because people are taking sides. We get divided and we come off of the moral hill we're supposed to be standing on. Whereas if we stayed on the moral hill, we'd be like, hey, you know what? The thing that Samuel Adams is not going to apply to me. A general dissolution of principles and morals will more surely overthrow the liberties of Americans than all the force of the common enemy. And then he says, while the people are virtuous, they cannot be subdued. But once they lose their virtue, they'll be ready to surrender their liberties to the first external or internal invader. That's exactly what Steven Crowder does. That's exactly what Brian Tyler Cohen does. And that is exactly what Dave Pakman does. They have moved away from virtue and said, you know what? I can move away from the fire of virtue, turn my back on it, and make a whole ton of money and have a nice, comfortable living being a propagandist for the DNC or for the RNC. But I'll lose my shirt if I start telling the truth and pulling back the curtain. I'll get demonetized. I'll get censored. I'll get shadow banned. I'll get canceled. When you're worried about all that stuff, you don't give a damn about righteousness. You don't care about the truth. And that's where these people are at. That's why they are playing into the hands of the bankster puppets, either directly or indirectly, telling you to demoralize yourself, let go of your virtue, vote for the lesser of two evils. They want you to vote for evil. Think about that, guys. Think about that. These charlatans want you to vote for evil, to demean yourself and move away from morality. That's what demoralization is. And they want you to cast your lot in with evil. In the back of my mind, there's an Old Testament scripture verse that says something like, maybe it's even in the New Testament, something like, move away from good and cast your lot with us. The evil people are saying that. After the show, I found that verse. It's Proverbs chapter 1, verse 14, but we're going to read it in context. It says, "My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, 'Come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us have a common purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, but they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. Let's basically share in the evil together. That's what I see voting as. You're moving away from that which is right, moving away from your moral principle, putting a lid on your conscience, and you're actually voting for something even you know is evil. Even people you know are liars. You know they're tools in the shed of the Federal Reserve. And people are so sick of me saying that. It's like, yeah, but that's not the problem. The problem is not who's the president. The problem is not who's the governor, who are the senators, who are the congressmen. It's who are pulling the strings of the senators and the governors and the presidents and the congressmen. That's what I want to know. Because when we get to the bottom of that, then we know all those guys are corrupt. And these are the guys that are pulling the strings. And those are the ones we need to bring to justice and make an example of. It's pretty simple. And all you have to do is follow the money trail. You know who's involved. The people who wanted the TARP bailout. If we don't have a $700 billion TARP bailout, the entire economy is going to crumble. Well, maybe it will. But have you ever heard of you've heard of the Great Depression, but have you ever heard of the Greater Depression that didn't even last but 6 months in the 1920s? And you know why it didn't extend beyond 6 months and we had a very rapid economic recovery? Because the government didn't do anything. The free market took over and there was no money manipulation. Prices came down, people got right back to work, and everything was hunky-dory. But in the Great Depression that we know of, there was major money manipulation and government involvement, and we got to come up with all these programs. And FDR, rather than stopping the Great Depression, extended the Great Depression. If you want more information on that, just go to mises.org, Mises.org. They got a whole bunch of information on that. Everything is documented, and they definitely bring the receipts. Thomas Woods, Tom DiLorenzo, all those guys.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
It's
There it
nice
is.
to see
And
you
this
have
was-
fun. You know what would have been great for Donald Trump to have said? You're an enemy of the people. I'm not shaking your hand. I'm not doing it. I mean what I say. Screw you, lady. Man, you know how many points he would have scored? I don't shake the hand of an enemy of the people. No decorum? Yeah, but you know what? That's living above board. You're going to shake Joseph Stalin's hand? Well, FDR did, but you know where FDR was when he did it. He was just as much as an enemy of the American people as Stalin was to his people. It's like shaking hands with, you're going to shake hands with Hitler? That's another thing. That's completely disingenuous. All the bad things that Kamala Harris has said about Donald Trump, why would you want to shake Donald Trump's hand? Why would you want to shake the hand of somebody that you just said is an existential threat to democracy? So really, by shaking his hand, Kamala Harris showed how good of a hypocrite she could be. And by shaking her hand, Donald Trump showed how much of a hypocrite he can be. And these guys don't bat an eye because they don't see it, because hypocrisy resides in their heart. And it takes like to know like. And when like knows like, they give each other a pass. Because I'm not going to call you out if you don't call me out. If you don't call my hypocrisy out, I ain't going to call yours out. And we can all live happily ever after and stuff pallets of money into our pockets and our bank accounts. If I was going to be, and I would never because I don't want to be your ruler, but if I was going to be a president of the people and I believed what I was saying about my opponent, Kamala Harris, ain't no way I would ever shake that witch's hand. If I shake your hand, I'm basically shaking the hand of the devil. I don't dance with demons. I don't negotiate with terrorists, and I don't shake hands with enemies of the American people. I'm America first. You're not. We're drawing the line right here. What does Donald Trump say? Have fun? What's this all about? What does he say?
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Have fun. Is it really nice to see you? I mean, how many people under the leadership, I'm asking a serious question here. How many people under the leadership of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been erased from the face of the earth? How many people? How many people under Donald Trump? How many bombs have been dropped on families? You know, during Donald Trump's presidency, all 4 years, every single day, at least 46 bombs and missiles were dropped on people in foreign lands, right? You know that, right? According to the air power summary from the Pentagon. And just as many bombs were dropped during the Biden and Kamala Harris presidency. Donald Trump dropped more bombs and launched more missiles than Obama did. So these we're talking about not just political leaders. We're not just talking about puppets. We're talking about literal warmongering mass murderers. If Kamala Harris really believed her rhetoric about Donald Trump, she never would have reached out her hand. If Donald Trump believed his rhetoric about Kamala Harris, he never would have reached out his hand to her. That handshake is all I need to see to know that this entire thing is a smokescreen dog and pony show. This is like the technicians at a concert rolling out the smoke machines. Because the real issue ain't ever going to be dealt with as long as two people who say that they hate each other and claim that they're the enemies of the people are going to reach out their hands and shake their hands. Nice to meet you. Was it really? So it was disingenuous from the get-go on Donald Trump's part, disingenuous on Kamala Harris's part, and really we could end it there. They're both freaking liars. They can't even be honest with their own selves. They claim to represent vast amounts of people. Do you think Team MAGA would actually, anybody on Team MAGA would shake hands with Kamala Harris and say, nice to meet you? It's just like when Donald Trump said, he pointed to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and said, got a lot of respect for those two people. Got a lot of respect. Leads them in a standing, leads the crowd right after his inauguration in a standing ovation to the evil Clintons. And then doesn't ever put her in jail.